So here in New York City, Renzo Gracie Academy with the one, the only, Craig Jones. Craig?
Thank you.
Thanks for having me, man. Always appreciate it. I guess first off, you want to just like kind of recap a little bit what you just got done doing here today and what you're preparing for?
Yeah, so obviously had the lunchtime session today. So I usually train once a day on Tuesday, Thursday, and then twice a day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But pretty similar formats what we always do down there. I think it's like 3-4 techniques at lunch, and then 6 rounds, 3 positional, 3 regular rounds, and obviously preparing for KASAI this weekend.
Do you like doing those positional rounds? I'm wondering how training here is different from your training back in Australia. They do a lot of positional rounds here, you know, not necessarily like exact timed or anything like that. Do you like the way things are run here?
Yeah, you know what? It grows on you. I think if you haven't done that style of training for a while, it's pretty unpleasant, but it gives you a bit more confidence defending submissions. So I guess in a sense, the more confident you feel defensively, the more confident you are to take risks in a match, knowing that you could recover from the position. So I guess that's the best benefit of it, but I mean really, what is it? We're starting on a mount, we're starting in turtle, and we're starting in closed guard, which is like, closed guard doesn't come up too much really, unless you, I guess you score a double leg or something and the guy pulls closed. What's good is we do mount first, which typically for me, I would only ever get to mount on someone if they were already tired. So like it's actually very difficult to hold mount on a fresh opponent.
True.
You know what I mean? So that makes it, you really have to have a good mount pressure to hold a fresh guy down, and obviously you have to have pretty good escapes to get out against a fresh guy. So throwing mount, I guess, in as the first round we do is it's a pretty difficult thing to adjust to.
Yeah, it's been almost 2 years since ADCC, you know, and that was one of the first times that I really got to know you and got to talk to you was at ADCC 2017. I think a lot of people obviously learned about you at ADCC 2017, and so you've been training here for basically since then, right? Around 2 years.
What have I been doing? I've been doing some camps here. Because I'm in the US so much, so whenever I'm in the US, I'll come here. But probably pretty evenly split between here and Melbourne. I would say I was pretty bad with training last year. What year was it? 2019, 2018, because I had been a broke jiu-jitsu guy my whole life. So the second people started offering me seminars, I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And then I think I did like 75 seminars. So for 2018, I didn't probably do as much training as I should have. So obviously, you agree to those seminars, thinking the money and stuff's going to run out and stuff, but obviously I have to focus more on training. So this year, whenever I'm in the US, probably less seminars, more just focus on training.
You think you did 75 seminars in 2018?
In 2018, yeah. Yeah.
Dang, that's quite a few. How do you think your game has evolved over these last few years since ADCC, since your breakout performance at ADCC?
Well, I think ADCC was basically, I was more one-dimensional, probably just Z-guard heel hooks, which I still do, but like what I was really worried about with ADCC was that it'd be like a one-hit wonder. You know what I mean? Have that amazing tournament and then just fade away and mess up everything since then. So I guess I've just been trying to make a more well-rounded game, because obviously it's easy to have a trick and beat people when they don't know what you're up to. But then obviously over time, people, if I remained one-dimensional, they could probably figure that out pretty easily. So yeah, we've just been trying to make a more well-rounded game. Still trying to work on the takedowns, but that's tough for Australians.
Well, you already got that great highlight with Dante Leon, so I think you're good on that on the takedown department, right? But so obviously we're here this week is KASAI Pro 5. You know, the way things are looking, this is going to be the biggest KASAI they've ever done. They've sold more tickets than they've ever sold before. I know from our end, we've seen such a huge buzz around the event. Yourself is in it, Kyan Duarte, Felipe Pena, Tex Johnson. It's a huge tournament. Of course, you've been in the tournaments before, but let's talk about KASAI Pro 5 here and what you're looking forward to specifically coming up. Is this something, an event obviously that gets you excited?
Yeah, it definitely gets me excited. What makes it tricky, the rules are like you have to make a grip to pull guard. They got some interesting rules where it's sort of like a point, I believe, for submission attempts. I've had some problems with KASAI's rules in the past, getting confused. But yeah, KASAI is a great event. I mean, I would say, like, I'm more used to submission only. I would say ADCC's, to me, feels closer to maybe a submission only match and then followed by a wrestling match to decide. And KASAI feels more almost in the IBJJF scheme of things, but with 6 minutes, it makes it really tricky. So obviously 6 minutes, the way I feel is basically whoever gets off the first offensive point scoring movement is probably going to take that match. You know what I mean? Which makes it very difficult. Obviously, makes it more wrestling and sweep focused. But yeah, definitely a fun tournament to be a part of.
And a lot of big names. Are there any names that stick out to you that you really want to compete against?
Obviously, Felipe Pena, because we got like the ADCC, like the reigning open weight champ, absolute champ, gonna face Galvao this year. Kanan. I always get his name wrong. I hope I don't offend him. But yeah, he's amazing. So obviously he's done some nogi events. I know he obviously did ADCC, beat Calasanz. He lost to his teammate Keenan. Not Calasanz, Pablo Popovich, yep. And then he had that match with Gordon, Nogi Worlds, almost took his back. So obviously it'll be interesting to see him do more nogi stuff, especially with heel hooks in. And yeah, Tex Johnson, we're having a rematch. He's looking absolutely enormous these days. Who else we got in there? We got in John Blank. John Blank, that's an interesting match. A lot of the 10th Planet guys always call for me to have a match with John Blank, so I guess this will be a great opportunity depending on how the brackets line up if I get that match. Jackson Souza, I was meant to have a match with Jackson Souza earlier in the year. Gabriel R just replaced him. Jackson Souza had a terrible staph outbreak. Some of the worst I've ever seen.
Really?
I'll show you after. I'm not meant to share the photo around. But yeah, so obviously if that match happens, that'd be good because we were going to have that match. And there's a last-minute replacement from Fight Sports as well.
Yeah. So pretty much every name in there, it sounds like it's somebody that you'd want to test yourself against, right? This is a pretty stacked division.
Super stacked. What was funny is Rustam Chisiev pulled out. And I'm happy about that. 6 minutes with the Russian bear would not be fun for anyone.
Yeah. That's funny. So definitely all eight, and you've been through this tournament before. You went through the 185-pound bracket. Do you think you're going to have the experience edge? Of course, you fought multiple times on KASAI as well, just in the super fights and things like that. Do you feel like you're going to have the experience edge out there?
I think so. I think I'm just really used to competing in super fights these days. So like just about every event I do is a massive event. So I know even if guys are really used to competing in IBJJF events and stuff, it sort of is a bit of a change doing a big show. And especially like I would consider like KASAI to be one of the biggest, maybe if not the biggest show these days. So like although you could be a very seasoned competitor, if you haven't done so many super fights, sometimes it's a bit different with the big crowd there and stuff. Obviously being in a foreign city. So I feel very experienced in dealing with the nerves of a big event these days.
What do you think is the thing that separates people during a super fight show from winning to losing? You know, because obviously you've been on both sides of the coin there. What do you think is the thing that kind of separates people from winning and losing on these big super fight shows? Is there anything you can pinpoint?
I think just the ability to control your nerves leading up to the match, and
Really?
especially on the day and stuff. Because I know like. It really makes a difference. Say if you're so nervous the day before you don't sleep well. I mean, sleep's so important. So if you have a bad night's sleep could throw off your whole event the next day and stuff. So your ability to control your emotions leading up and obviously control your emotions just before the match so you don't get an adrenaline dump when you get out there and stuff, that all makes a big difference. I think some people very rarely can enter the big show and just do great immediately. Most people have to have some sort of learning period to deal with that.
And is that something that you've been focusing on? Is that something that you've been learning over the last few years? Or?
Definitely. The first time I ever had a super fight, I was super nervous and got smashed in it. So yeah, it's definitely come a long way since then.
Anything you can tell us about that you've been kind of honing in on to get your mind right? Because it is something, it's such a physical sport, right? You spend so much time drilling the moves and working on submissions and things like that, but a lot of people do neglect the mental side of things.
All right, yeah. I mean, I just try and have fun with it. Make jokes, obviously pick on each other and stuff. Do anything I can do because it's such an unpleasant thing. Like training's fun if you have a job. Like if you have a day job and you finish work and it's your escape. But when it's every day and your income's dependent upon how good you compete and good you train, you sort of, it can to a certain degree ruin the fun of it. So finding ways to keep it light and enjoyable despite having terrible days on the mats is I think the best way I stay calm and with my training and stuff.
It seems like the group here is a really fun group of guys. They're constantly all kind of ribbing each other and everything like that. But John seems like is maybe leading the way too.
Yeah.
So it seems like you guys have a good, fun environment here to train. Does that
yeah,
help?
for sure. Lots of joking around and stuff. Like obviously, I think Australians get a reputation for talking shit and joking around and stuff. So when I come to the States and there are places like that do enjoy it as well. it's very good because I don't know. Sometimes you come to the States and it might be a bit more serious sense of humor. Sometimes we say things that offend people.
Yeah, sometimes we're like, what are those Australians, man? What are they talking about? I'm just kidding. But so I saw you guys down there working a little bit with John, and of course this is just a few days before the competition. But does John usually give you any big advice before these competitions, and anything you can share with us? We're always interested to hear what John has to say.
Definitely very mysterious, man. Yeah. John's very good at I assume he watches a lot of tape because he's very knowledgeable about each and every opponent. So he definitely comes at you with some information about your opponent, I guess, in terms of common things they do, maybe weaknesses they have. So I think he's sort of like more a master strategist than anything else. I think that's where he really shines. Is able to like condense information down over like say whichever opponent's had so many matches. Very good at knowing what they're good at, from where and stuff.
Do you get a lot of people asking you about John when you go play?
Yeah, I get always about John or about the Gordon armbar.
Yeah.
A blessing and a curse, yeah.
People ask, you had him, right? Did you get pop or something like that?
People always ask me, they're like, oh, you were being nice, right? And I was like, being nice? I would still break it today.
Nice. Just on the mats.
Yeah. Even after it taps. Nah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, so this weekend, KASAI Pro 5. Is there anything else specifically that you're looking for? I mean, I know there's some other big fights on the card too, but anything else you're looking forward to about the night, Saturday?
No, just really getting in there. And I really hope that whether me and Felipe are on the same side of the bracket or on the opposite side, we get to have that match. Because really, that's all I'm chasing at this point is just the biggest names in the sport. I want to test myself against those guys. So obviously Felipe Pena's the star of the show for this tournament, I think.
Yeah, and so that's the one you're really hoping to get.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't beat Gordon, so I'm gonna try and beat Felipe, and then I can talk shit to Gordon.
Yeah, then it'll be a little bit of jiu-jitsu match.
Yeah.
Just real quick, also, I wanted to talk to you about upcoming ADCC. ADCC 2019 is coming up in September in Los Angeles. You had a great showing in 2017 in Finland. You've gotten the officially, you gotten the invite?
I got the invite, yeah.
You gotten the invite, so you'll be back in 2019. Give me your thoughts on 2019 and maybe what's going to be different about this tournament this time around.
I think, obviously for this one, last time I came in, really, I didn't even think I'd beat Leandro Lo, to be honest. So this time, I'm coming in a whole lot more confident that I guess I belong up there. I think Mo told me I'd be a pretty high seed, so I'll probably have a good bracket this time. But just coming in more prepared, more well-rounded, and obviously a lot more experience. And obviously, what do we got? We got coming up. We just had the Brazil trials. We got the European trials next, and then the last one is the only Asian trials, I should say.
Yeah, true. And then so maybe a few more invites, but pretty much the brackets are looking like they're taking form, and you'll be back at 88?
Back at 88. Actually, last ADCC, I probably think 88 was the toughest, maybe the toughest division in ADCC history, but it's looking like 99 this time will be the toughest. Yuri Samoes just went over 99, right?
Over 99 is looking crazy stacked too. That's looking like a huge division too. So
yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, always, right? ADCC is just nothing.
You never know what's going to happen either.
Yeah. But I don't know, going into this ADCC, do you feel like I don't know. Do you feel like you're gonna try to do the same thing, or do you feel like you're gonna have a new game plan, or
probably
approaching?
Probably similar game plan off bottom. Z-guard's definitely the goal, definitely my strength. So I probably won't mix it up from bottom. Probably definitely look for a lot more takedowns and top control. Definitely probably less of a leg lock focus. Everyone's getting much better at leg locks these days, so we got to find a different strategy. Not to say they don't work anymore, except once upon a time, I think you got to the leg lock position, it was over.
Yeah.
Like people just didn't know how to roll out, protect themselves. But these days, it's becoming much harder to finish people from the positions unless they have a huge weakness in that area, I guess. So just more well-rounded game for this upcoming one.
I don't know if you've seen. We've talked a little bit with Keenan about the meta game of jiu-jitsu and things like that, and he was talking a little bit about the meta game of no-gi jiu-jitsu and how things are changing. And do you feel like that the meta game of no-gi is changing and going away from heel hooks, or do you still feel like the heel hook game is kind of the A meta game for no-gi jiu-jitsu? Especially now with Danaher's DVDs coming out. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no. I think heel hooks were the meta game. I think a lot of people have already pointed out that they think wrestling is probably going to become the next meta, but I would probably be more specific. I think the next meta will be people playing wrestling style off of their butts. So that when they say they pull guard or something, they're not going to lay flat on their back and look for De La Hiva, reverse De La Hiva, maybe half guard or Z guard. They're probably going to be playing sit-up guard and really aggressively chasing arm drags and using their opponent's forward momentum to elevate. It's becoming much harder to elevate guys. So I think we need really aggressive sort of, I guess butt scooting, but in the form of wrestling.
Is that something you've seen?
Yeah, I think that'll be the next sort of meta. I think for you to concede flat to your back against a high-level passer, it's going to be a terrible idea to do.
Well, I definitely can't wait for ADCC 2019. It's going to be crazy, right? Just
awesome.
on the horizon, and I'm just so looking forward to it. But also, KASAI Pro this weekend, April 6th, you're going to be there. Kainan Duarte, Felipe Pena, Homolo versus Marcus Tinoco. It is going to be a huge, huge event. I can't wait for it. Thanks for sitting down and talking with me, brother.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.